Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Grant, I'm the host of Remington Graphics, and today I'm here with you guys to announce the release of Procedural Pro 2.0, and it rhymes, which is really awesome. Anyway, the first version of Procedural Pro created an astounding reaction. A lot of you guys really loved it, and it got a lot of downloads, so I almost immediately started working on Procedural Pro version 2.0. And I'm really happy to announce it because there's a ton of new features that I added in to make it even more procedural-y and stuff like that. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump right into some of the changes and new features. So let's go ahead and start off by just comparing the two node groups next to each other. On the left we have the original Procedural Pro, and we have Procedural Pro 2.0 over here on the right. And not so much changed with the inputs. There was one feature, which I'll go over in a second, but the outputs, lots more outputs, and I'll go over all of them. Anyway, before we get there, let's go over the one input. It's based upon the internal shader here. So you can see I have Procedural Pro 2.0 hooked up here, and I'm gonna boost the bump strength a little bit here just so you guys can get a better idea. If we have this option called metal and non-metal, which is actually part of the PBR shader if I pull it up here. So here's the PBR shader, and there's a thing called metal and non-metal on that, and I neglected to use that in the original Procedural Pro, but it's now implemented. So if this is greater than 0.5, it will be metallic, and if it's less than 0.5, less than or equal to 0.5, it will be dielectric. Now let's go ahead and go over all of the different outputs. Now there are a lot of them, and I tried to make them in the most reasonable and most understandable way possible. Now basically all of Procedural Pro, the original one, is all based off of this one chunk with a moose grave texture, 3 moose grave textures actually mixed together to make the procedural texture. This one is sort of based off of that. You can see we have the same Procedural Pro one right here based off the moose grave, which is these first 4, which these are the same thing as the ones down here. So moose grave shader, color, FAC, and normals are basically the same down here. But what we have now is we have 4 different node groups. We have our, I think this is Veronoi or Veroni, I don't know how to pronounce it. The noise texture, and then the mix, which I'll go over all of those. But as you can see, the noise shader will use a bunch of noise nodes to generate it. And as you can see, it's a lot harder to see because our texture scale's at 1. If we boost up to maybe 5 or something. Yeah, you can see the little changes in the texture right there. It's definitely one of the smaller, less apparent ones, which is good for things that are not changing very much. So ground is good. This is good for if it's a nice clean material. The noise shader is what you want to go with. Then we also have the Veronoi or Veroni, I don't know, shader. And as you can see here, if you guys don't know what a Veroni texture looks like, it basically looks like this. This is especially good if you're doing some sort of topography on some sort of mountain. You can do this, and then you can add another procedural shader and mix it with something else, and it'll make a really awesome mix. And as usual, we have the color, FAC, and normal for all of these, but we won't get into those too much. And then we also have mix, and mix is my new favorite thing to use because it's a giant cluster. Well, it's actually just 3 different shaders. It's moose grave, the noise shader, and the noise texture and the Veronoi texture all mixed together into one really awesome thing. It ends up coming out really random. So as you can see here, we got, it's kind of hard to see, but you can see that there's more clustered things from the noise texture and the Veronoi texture, but it's also got that kind of shaky edges like the moose grave texture does. So if you can, it's pretty close to the moose grave texture, I will give it that, but if you mix this with the moose grave texture, you can see the moose grave texture has a lot more green in it, and it's a lot more localized, whereas this appears to be a lot more scattered and a lot more spread out and a lot more of those base and tertiary colors as opposed to the secondary color. Something that I think is really awesome about this as well is you can actually mix and match these. So say I wanted the color from the moose grave for a terrain thing, so let me just get a diffuse shader here and hook this up. So say I wanted the color from the moose grave and then the normals from the Veronoi. Now we can see that we kind of have, it doesn't look the greatest. Of course, there's a lot of tweaking that we can do with this. Oh, my dog just walked into the room. Anyway, we can use this to kind of give us that, that mountainous texture. We can also use the mixed normals if we want to, which will give us normals not based upon the moose grave texture, or we can use the noise normals, or we can use the noise color and the moose grave normals. We can do whatever we want. There are so many things you can mix and match to make even more procedurally generated textures. It'll never be the same based upon whatever settings you use. Anyway, all these new features just basically add a bunch of new ways that you can create procedural textures for your models, and as usual, it's always free. If you guys want to download it, you can get it at store.remingtongraphics.net. There will be a card in the upper right corner of the screen right now, and there will also be a download link in the description. Anyway, I hope you guys find Procedural Pro useful. If you did, be sure to drop a like down on this video and hit subscribe to be notified whenever I upload new videos. I upload on Wednesdays and Saturdays, so be sure to stick around for that. Anyway, thanks for watching and checking out Procedural Pro 2.0, and I'll see you guys later. Adios.